Hello everyone and welcome to round 8 of the 1970 Interzonal tournament in Palma de Mallorca. It's Renato Naranja versus Robert James Fischer, or Bobby Fischer. Now you all seen in round 7, up until round 7, Bobby had that amazing streak of 5 victories. Then he ran into a wall called Milan Matulovic, where he, from a worse position, he was managed to hold to a draw. And now he has the black pieces against a grandmaster from the Philippines, Renato Naranja. Now, we do have a nice photo, not of this matchup, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Here are three gentlemen. The photo was taken by Olimpiu Urkan from Singapore, and from left to right there is Renato Naranja, and then in the middle we have our mystery person who we will use for our photo challenge, and to the right Florencio Compomanes. And it's very interesting. If you've been a subscriber on this channel for quite some time now, you should be able to recognize the person in the middle. If not, check out the comment section. I'm sure some of you will know who he is, as we've seen a very nice game he played against international master Jeremy Silman, where he brought a nice big jar of honey to the game. But if you haven't checked it out, it's also a very nice story. So the first thing you will see in the description below will be a link to that game I covered, so you can enjoy that as well. So let's check out the game. Renato Naranja with the white pieces against Bobby Fischer. Let's see how the game goes. And this game will perfectly illustrate what kind of a guy Bobby Fischer was. So let's check it out. C4, C5. Let me just take care of that. So the symmetrical variation of the English. Knight c3, Bobby goes for g6, knight to f3, bishop to g7, d4. Bobby captures, c captures on d4, knight captures on d4, and knight to c6. E3, knight to f6, Bobby keeps on developing, bishop e2, we have castles, and now knight captures on d4. And although e captures on d4, I don't know, seems like an automatic to me. Pretty sure I would play this, every time. We have queen captures on d4 here, obviously a prepared line. We have d6, and now comes queen to h4. Bishop to e6, and now comes rook to d1. Queen to b6 by Fischer, kind of preventing that bishop from c1 from developing, as the b2 pawn is under attack. So rook to b1, defending the b2 pawn, but also getting the rook out of this nasty g7a1 diagonal. And now queen to c5. So Fischer is playing a lot of moves with his queen, and he is kind of provoking this b4 move, which is played in the game. b4, we have queen to f5 now, again with tempo, as the rook on b1 is under attack now. E4 attacking Fischer's queen, and now Fischer plays queen to e5 now. So a lot of moves with the queen, but all of them are with tempo, so not really losing anything here. The knight on c3 is under attack. Okay, rook to b3, defending, and now Fischer has to be really careful. If you're not careful, you play something like rook c8, attack the c4 pawn, and then f4 loses the game immediately. Although you don't lose the queen, you can defend with g5. It kind of does attack white's queen as well, but even here you will lose the knight here, and after black recaptures knight d5, white will be able to enjoy his extra piece. So you have to do something about this queen being stuck on e5, so bishop to d7. Fischer makes room for the queen on e6. F4 attacking the queen, queen to e6, and now, while you can, keep on developing, maybe preparing, here Renato Naranja goes immediately for f5. A nice pawn sacrifice, but again Fischer will have to defend like in the previous game. We have g captures on f5, pawn captures on f5, and now queen captures on f5, and bishop to g5 now. So what do you do here? You have to be very careful. Bishop to d3 is coming with an attack on the queen, and then the h7 pawn. Bishop to g5 is attacking the only defender of the h7 pawn. So you have to do something here. Fischer plays h6. He wants to give back the pawn to stop the attack. And while here, probably the best idea is bishop to f4, keep everything on the board, keep the pressure going. Knight d5 is coming. This rook can come to g3, bishop can come to d3. A lot of attacking ideas here for Naranja, but he takes the easy way out and he grabs the pawn. Bishop captures on h6, and here queen to h7. Bishop to g5, he offers a trade of queens, queen captures, bishop captures on h4, and now bishop to e6. So material is now equal, and now the game continues. We have bishop captures on f6, and here a very important moment in the game, because now Renato Naranja is an international master, and he did win the zonal tournament to qualify for this interzonal tournament, but he's not really expecting to qualify for the candidates, as he's not doing so great in the tournament so far. So this is an excellent move from his perspective, but it's not an easy decision from Bobby's perspective. Of course, you have to play bishop captures on f6 here. And if bishop captures, the problem is that white can force a draw with knight d5, attacking the bishop. If you mess up black's pawn structure, then white will be even better. And after bishop captures, you don't even have to capture back the bishop. You can simply play rook g3 check, and here you can simply continue checking, and it will be a draw by repetition eventually. So after this bishop captures on f6 move, amazingly Fischer plays e captures on f6. So he ruins his pawn structure on purpose, allows Renato to capture this d6 pawn. And while this is a terrible decision for black, that's the kind of guy Bobby Fischer was. So, and it's very interesting. You don't have to win the interzonal tournament to actually qualify for the candidates. You have to be in the top six contenders. So even though Fischer is currently in the lead, and a draw in this game wouldn't really hurt him like in the least, because he will definitely qualify in the top six contenders. But no, he will rather risk losing and go for a full point than accepting a draw here. So, okay, a very interesting turn of events. Knight to d5. Naranja doesn't go for the d6 pawn, because after rook captures you can play rook c8, attack the c4 pawn. There's no real good way to defend it, as you can't move the pawn. The rook on b3 would be hanging from the bishop. So, knight to d5 first. Rook f to d8, and now comes rook to f3, attacking the f6 pawn. Fischer goes king f8, now comes knight captures on f6, and now rook a to c8. And here the c4 pawn is under attack, and definitely if you want to keep the edge here with the white pieces, you have to go knight d5. You have to protect your c4 pawn, and this is what you want to do if you want to push for something more than a draw here. But again, Naranja takes the easy way out, and after Fischer's rook ac8, he goes for knight to h6 check. Fischer moves the king back, we have knight back to f6, and now Fischer captures. Bishop captures, rook captures, and now bishop captures on c4, grabbing that extra pawn. Bishop captures, rook captures on d6, rook captures on d6, rook captures on d6, and now Fischer captures on b4, rook captures on b4, and it's 3 pawns against 3 pawns. Both sides have 2 pawn islands, and now the game continues. We have rook to d2. Now bringing the rook back to the second rank, not allowing the a2 pawn to get under attack from b2. Fischer pushes b5. We have king f2, rook to a4 now, king to e3, king g7, king d3, rook to a3 check, king moves, a5. We have king to c5, and now b4. So it's a pretty standard trade-off. There's no way for white to endanger these pawns in any way. The rook is guarding the a5 pawn is guarding the b4 pawn, and this rook is stuck guarding the a2 pawn. So neither side can really make progress here. King b5 was played, then comes f5 from Fischer, g3, we have king f6, rook to e2, king to g5, rook to f2, king g6, rook to d2, king f7, rook e2, king to f6, king to c4, king to g5, king to b5, king to g4, we have rook to f2, king comes to h3, and now, well, you can definitely make a mistake here. Fischer offers white one last chance to blunder the game away. For example, if you capture on f5 and allow black to capture, then of course you would lose this game after rook captures and rook captures here. Although the material is equal, it will be this will be winning for black. For example, rook h5 check, king attacks rook, rook checks king, king here. Now comes g4, and now king to e2. Of course, you don't want to push b3 here because rook h3 would pick up the b2 pawn, but after king e2, the b pawn is simply much faster than the g pawn. Here, rook has to block, but then comes rook to a3. And after rook moves, then b3 will be simply winning. Rook will block, king has to come protect the pawn. After king moves, a4, we have g4, g5, now comes rook a1, g6, rook to g1, and after king a5, let's say king c2, and now the b3 pawn will be escorted. Rook checks, king hides, king captures, and now comes rook captures, and after, let's say you attack, this comes with check, king moves, and now rook h4. You will eliminate white's last pawn, and then this pawn will be winning as the white king is completely cut off. But here, Renato Naranja doesn't blunder the game away. He moves away, rook to d2, and here he shows that he will simply keep on moving the rook back and forth, and there is no way to push here for anything. So yeah, a very interesting game from round 8, Renato Naranja versus Bobby Fischer. Yet another game Bobby Fischer has to defend. He gets an extra pawn, but it's a very difficult position, and Renato Naranja had 2 opportunities to push for something more than a draw, but he's not having the greatest tournament so far, and you know, no one has defeated Bobby Fischer just yet. He defeated 5 extremely strong grandmasters in a row, so Renato Naranja perhaps didn't want to push his luck, and you know, if you make one bad move, then you're gonna throw the whole game away. So why not take a draw against the highest rated player in the world? So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it and that you're enjoying the coverage so far. Like I said, do check out the game by this fellow in the middle, and the very nice story about the honey jar. I would like to thank Danny McCullough, John Katsias, David Soez, Nuria Blanco Rodriguez, and Eric Barak Barasa for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, most likely with game number 9 from this very nice 1970 Interzonal tournament in Palma de Mallorca. But perhaps if some craziness arises in the Beal Chess Festival, maybe we'll cover some games from there. So thank you all, and I will see you soon.